Social media, we all use it. How well do we understand it? Our next speaker is an expert in helping senior level executives understand how to enhance the conversation they have with their internal and external customers. Please welcome Dave Nelson.
You didn't really expect a social media guy just to saunter onto the stage, did you? We're going to talk about social media for business. Actually, when you heard the word social media, you probably thought, oh, that's the kids on Facebook. Maybe some of you are even on Facebook. I'm going to talk about social media for business. You probably thought, oh, that's great if you're connecting with consumers. I spend most of my time working with businesses, B2B, business to business, but we're not even going to talk about that today. How about a different idea? How about using these fabulous communication technologies internally inside our companies? Let's get social media inside business. We'll start by looking at Twitter. I want to show you something amazing you can do on Twitter, but this is true of many social media services. The internet knows where you are. We know where you are when you tweet. Do you know 250 million times today people are going to tell you what's on their mind using their mobile device. And if you listen into that, it's the closest thing to ESP that humans have invented yet. But if you listen into all of it, it's noise. So let's look at what my friend Lee does. He's a chiropractor. What does a chiropractor care about? Well, if you have back pain, headache, fibromyalgia, you're going to be Lee's new best friend. And I take that back because Lee's in Pittsburgh and you're here in Houston, so Lee's the kind of guy who could care less if you have back pain. How about if somebody mentions they've got back pain and they're near his zip code, 15022, say within 50 miles. He gets a display that runs on his desktop. Looks something like this. This first gentleman says, back pain, pretty bad, frowny face. That person is in Mars, PA. I'm from Mars, by the way. Sort of cool being from Mars. Men are from Mars. The second one, back pain equals crankiness turned up to 11. This woman's in Pittsburgh, PA. And you got to believe with username Andrea Disaster, we have just discovered a dream client for Lee. Back pain, making me lose sleep, it sucks. This woman's in Zelienople, a little bit north of the city. Oh, by the way, see the map? You can change your search radius to expand or contract your listening. Is anyone freaked out by this? Now, how we might engage with those people is a topic for next year's event, so let's go on. Let's talk about the old parable, the visually impaired humans and the pachyderm. Or maybe your mother was politically incorrect and said it was the blind men and the elephant. Everyone touching the elephant in a different place. Oh, it's a spear. No, it's not. It's a snake. It's definitely a fan. It's a rope. It's a wall. It's a tree trunk. You know what? The world has become so complicated. We are all touching a small piece of the elephant. So what would happen if we could accelerate our information sharing? Because the problem was not that the men were blind. It was that they were not communicating effectively and integrating what they knew. I take you back to May 1st to look at an example. Remember what was going on that day? It's 4 o'clock. That's Obama, Ms. Clinton, Biden, some generals. They're watching real-time video of SEAL Team 6 take down bin Laden. Check out what the rest of us could see on Twitter. This gentleman is named Suhaibi Attar. His Twitter handle is really virtual, and he reports that a helicopter is hovering above Abbottabad at 1 a.m., and then adds parenthetically, is a rare event. Now, just to remind you, 1 a.m. in Pakistan is 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We, the American public, are going to hear from Obama at 10:35, 6.5 hours later. So let's keep watching Twitter here. Go away, helicopter, before I take out my giant swatter. A huge window-shaking bang here in Abbottabad. I hope it's not the start of something nasty. Now, one of the gentlemen who saw that particular tweet, we're talking 140 characters of information, had family in Abbottabad but was outside of the region. became concerned, took to the telephone, eventually connects with his family, and then he comes on, says, just talked to family in Abbottabad. They say they heard 3 blasts, one after another, don't know what really happened. We now have 2 blind men touching the elephant. Let's keep going. On Twitter, you can direct a question to somebody, and so he says to Really Virtual with the @ sign before the username, hello, sir. Any update on the blast? What has really happened? All silent after the blast, but a friend heard it 6 kilometers away. Helicopter is gone too. Seems like my giant swatter worked, because a friend following him on Twitter, and by the way, he only has a couple hundred followers, and it's 1 a.m., maybe 2 or 3 people are in this dialogue so far, relays him a message that just hit the internet from the Pakistan News about an apparent helicopter crash. The few people online at this time of night are saying one of the copters was not Pakistani. Interesting bit of information. Now another friend chimes in, be safe. To which Really Virtual replies, I try, man, I try. Funny, moving to Abbottabad was part of the being safe strategy. Since Taliban probably don't have helicopters, and since they're saying it was not ours, must be a complicated situation. Now he does something very clever. He puts the pound sign in front of the word Abbottabad. This is a signal to humans. If you want to join this conversation, just label your messages as such. And then he opens up another window on his screen, and every time a message goes by that has, we call these things hashtags because the Brits call the pound sign hash, so hashtags, every time it has pound Abbottabad, it appears. He is accelerating his ability to learn. Now, he summarizes at this point in time, the Abbottabad helicopter was shot down near the Bali town area. There's a report of a flash, people saying it could be a drone. Now, one of his followers, Tahir Akram, picks up the same exact message and sends it out, passing it along. Now, why would somebody do this? Well, Really Virtual's followers are one group. Tahir Akram has a totally different group of followers. What you're seeing here is the accelerated spreading of information. Now, Really Virtual sees that his information has been propagated, and so he says, yay, and then reports that he hides his giant swatter, not wanting to be tagged as the guy who brought down this helicopter. Anything good the intelligence agencies are doing? Very likely, but it was too noisy to be a spycraft, or a very poor spycraft it was. Here's the location of the Abbottabad crash, according to some people. Now, on the iPhone, you bring up your Google Maps application, you can locate any point in the world, you press your home button and power button simultaneously, it takes a picture of the screen, which he includes with this message. Can you imagine if the CIA is trying to do this as a covert operation? Two helicopters, one down, could be a training accident. And now I feel I must apologize to the pilot about the swatter tweets, right? Somebody might be injured or dead, and I was joking around. Now, it is about 9:30 Eastern Time. Several hours have elapsed here. I've excerpted the conversation for you. One of his other friends starts to connect some dots. The networks in the US are reporting, hey, stay tuned, there's going to be a breaking news conference with our president. I think the helicopter crash in Abbottabad and the President Obama breaking news address are connected. GEO is also reporting evidence of 2 special operations choppers which conducted this operation in Abbottabad. Another rumor, 2 copters that followed the crashed ones were foreign Cobras and got away. Remember, one landed too hard, we had to destroy it, had to send him back up. These guys are incredibly accurately reporting what's going on. We got more and more blind men touching the elephant. I think I should take out my big blower and blow away the fog of war and see the clearer picture. And as if by request, a gentleman half the world away in Queens, New York, with the Twitter username #ISuckBigTime, reports that Osama bin Laden has been killed in Abbottabad. ISI, that's the CIA of Pakistan, Inter-Services Intelligence, has confirmed it. To which Really Virtual adds, uh-oh, there goes the neighborhood. I guess I should unsubscribe from the pound Abbottabad search on Twitter before it kills my machine. So much information is now being communicated on the Twitter sphere, and we have heard not one word yet. Abbottabad just became a sexy new spring break destination, says another friend. And then the next chimes in. How long before Call of Duty Abbottabad hits the stores? And now it is 10:35 on the East Coast, and we learn. Of course, the conversation went on for the curious. Here's life in Abbottabad 2 minutes ago. It's now sun up. Take a picture out his window, post it to Twitter. And who is this guy? He's an IT consultant taking a break from the rat race by hiding in the mountain with his laptops, now being followed by 102,000 people. Now, did you see what really happened there? We had a whole bunch of different people all over the place that had little bits of that elephant, and yet they were able to use Twitter to put together their knowledge into a greater whole, incredibly quickly, incredibly accurately. And here's why I wanted to start with this example. Bad news, this is your company. This is your organization. It's filled with blind men, I say metaphorically. So, why not use Twitter to accelerate your business, communication among employees? Well, that would be stupid because everybody could see it. But what if there was a service that you could do this and it was completely private and closed to your company? And that service is called Yammer. It works as a texting-based service, which means it's ubiquitous. It will work on any phone. You don't even need one of these cool Apple iPhone 4S's. It works even when you're not connected to the network. And unlike email, the way these things work, in email, when I send an email, I pick who it goes to. When I create a message on Yammer, I put it into the cloud. And the content consumers decide whether it is valuable to follow me. We flipped the responsibility for deciding what's valuable from the producer to the consumer. Well, really, which one is in a better position to judge? By the way, since I get very little commission on each sale of Yammer, I'll mention it's a free service. That was a joke. 100,000 companies using it, though. It's no joke. Or Chatter.com from Salesforce. Another 100,000 using this product. You can go either way you like. You've got choices. A private network of your employees. Lots of things you could do with it, but how about just one idea for you? Solving customer problems. Imagine how when there is a customer problem, you could propagate that knowledge quickly. You could pull the experts into the conversation quickly. You could resolve that problem quickly. And in fact, the companies that are doing this are seeing 30% email reduction. You know, in corporate America, we're spending 40% of our time on email. It went totally out of control. And if you put email on your smartphone, and I do not have it on the iPhone 4S, do you know people who are interrupted take 50% longer to get a task done? Well, let's get rid of the email on the mobile devices, and when appropriate, use a texting-based service to communicate the time-critical information. And once we're not dealing with time-critical stuff on email anymore, we can put it in its place. We have lots of tools here, and we're using the wrong tools for some of our communication challenges. How about 52% faster information sharing? That's what you get with these services like Yammer and Chatter. Now, if this is sounding interesting, maybe you want to take it to the next level. Facebook is much richer than something like Twitter. There's so much more you can do with Facebook. So how about a private Facebook? Well, there's a service for that as well. It's called Ning. You guys know who is the person most responsible for the rapid emergence of the World Wide Web? It's not Al Gore. I give credit to Mark Andreessen, the kid who was at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana campus in 1993, co-wrote the first browser called Mosaic. When he graduated, he started Netscape with two guys named Jim. What Mark Andreessen has observed is, hey, these tools are great. Membership groups, these forums, these blogs, these discussions, document sharing, even things like Microsoft Office documents. But what if we could do it just among a chosen audience? Open, or better yet, closed. And so when Mark Andreessen saw Facebook, he created Ning. So you can now create a closed network that has all the richness of something like Facebook or Google Plus or LinkedIn just among your employees. A little bit more efficient, a little bit more effective way to communicate for some organizations. Or maybe you want to create a Ning network with your customers, partners, franchisees. There are now more than 1 million Ning networks in the world today. And perhaps you should be thinking about having one for your company. There's no programming. You can have this up and running in 5 minutes. The idea here is a fully customized public, or maybe more importantly, private social network where you're in control. You pick the audience. You manage it. Frankly, I have 6 Ning networks for different purposes. One of them has only 8 people. It's a project team, but all our information collaboration happens right there. And it all exists in the cloud for as long as we want to keep paying for the service, which means the history of the project is there from beginning to end. And oh, I'm sorry, this is not a free service, and this is going to be a major impediment for some of you, because I know you don't have the budgets you had 3 years ago. For a small network, it costs almost $3 a month. For an unlimited size network, it's $20 a month. Now, if you're liking this idea of applying these social tools to corporate operations, well, let's go one step further. Let's pull our customers into our company. Let me show you how Starbucks does that. You can get to this page by typing mystarbucksidea.com in your browser. And then you can share your idea with Starbucks. By the way, you have to provide an email address, and then they'll write back to you. I got an email from Starbucks recently. Dave, here are the first 50 things we've done based on your input. You know how empowering that is, how connecting that is to this company? By the way, in the interest of full disclosure, only 47 of the ideas are mine. Other people on the planet do help guide Starbucks. You want to know one of the ideas that came from their customers? Have you ever gone to Starbucks through a drive-thru, ordered your venti Americano, put it in your cup holder, and encountered a pothole on the road? It is amazing how much coffee can shoot out of that small hole. Now, the baristas are not having this problem. They're still back in the store. So one of their customers said, hey, why don't you make us a little thing that could snap in to plug that hole? And by the way, if you make it longer, it'll double as a stirrer. A customer idea that the company has implemented. And they now have 150 ideas that they have implemented and communicated back to us. So I leave you with this thought. You have a limited number of people in your company that decide what products and services to offer and how to evolve them. Why not tap into the incredible knowledge base of your customers? Pull them into your company. This is Suggestion Box meets focus group, meets brainstorming, meets democracy. It's unbelievable. And by the way, you can buy this service and have it on your website tomorrow. Go to either uservoice.com or salesforce.com. So those are just some of the tools that allow us to accelerate our information sharing and information integration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I understand that you have 3 rules for using social media correctly. In the limited time that we have, can you summarize those?
Sure, very quickly. Social media is a cocktail party. What works at a cocktail party works in social media. What doesn't work at a cocktail party doesn't work in social media. So what don't you do at a cocktail party? You don't show up, introduce yourself, and go into a long monologue all about you, right? It needs to be a conversation. Rule number 2 comes from the radio business. The rule is PIE, P-I-E. The P stands for personality, because this is a medium for people connecting with people. And by the way, have you heard the old adage in sales, people buy from people, right? So, P is personality. Let's be real people. I and E, keep it interesting and entertaining, because that's what works best. And rule number 3, which is the most important, it's where initiatives fail. It's the hardest one. What could you do to create value for your target audience? Telling them more about your products and services is not fundamentally valuable. We're all in information overload. So get really serious on that one. Who's my target audience and what could I do to create value? And when you answer that, then begin your social media journey. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thanks for being here.